Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hi, guys. What's up? How are you? I have the giggles. Original link to the video, top of the description from Cinema Sticks. Subscribe. Preemptive, like, the budget for the movie was so low they couldn't even afford... ... Oh, they're talking about the Monty Python Holy Grail, right?
Can you give me
Let's get started.
Can you give me a brief synopsis of the film? Is that possible in the space of half an hour or so?
Well, I don't think it is, really. I don't think it is.
Well, try in then 30 seconds.
Right.
Start again. Jesus Christ!
So, a couple weeks ago, I showed a little more than half
How'd you
of what I
become
wanted to
king?
show, and said a little less than half.
Sorry, I had to say a line rather than listen.
A couple weeks ago, I showed a little more than half of what I wanted to show, and said a little less than half of what I wanted to say about Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
He's got huge, sharp. He can leap about. Look at the bones.
This isn't part 2 exactly, just another 49 to 51%.
So many iconic scenes. Like, freaking iconic. That would be the most iconic scene in any other movie. But this has a bunch of them. It has the rabbit scene right there. It has the Black Knight scene. It has the original opening, the French guys arguing about the swallow or whatever. It has my favorite, the Bridge of Death, and my favorite, the witch test. This movie is so freaking iconic.
Of my love and adoration. This isn't part 2 exactly, just another 49 to 51% of my love and adoration for this movie.
Well, I could stay a bit longer.
And so I wanted to...
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, money.
Do you know how much it cost? How much did the movie cost? The movie cost $400,000.
If you do not agree to my commands, then I shall...
The producer rang me up and he said, you know, we don't have a very big budget. Would you mind very much sharing your hotel room? I said, what the
It might sound boring. I would find it fascinating just to sit, like, just to hear the people go talk about budget. Just to talk about budgeting and where you spend the bulk, how much on the actors, where do you cut costs on the props? Do you use a real, with sites and stuff? I think that'd be really fascinating. It's just, you know, just hearing those guys go, all right, we have $400,000. How do we make a movie?
you talking about? Hotel room. I said, what the are you talking about? I'm a film star.
What happens now? Well, now, Lancelot, Galahad, and I wait until nightfall and then leap out of the rabbit, taking the French by surprise.
So, Holy Grail, released in 1975, was the first of Monty Python's feature-length projects, and by a country mile, its most financially restricted, directed by the two Terrys of the group, Terry Gilliam and Terry Jones.
Come to this mark there, to where Tsuko is. Tsuko eats the
We do tag team directing, and he finishes that. He'll come out here and exhaustedly tap me on the shoulder, and I'll rush into action, and away we'll go.
Who leaps out? Lancelot, Galahad, and I. Leap out of the rabbit.
Yeah.
And,
One problem.
And from the first day of shooting Grail, the two are faced with challenge after challenge.
there it is.
The budget issue makes the coconuts instead of the horse even funnier. Oh, can't get a horse. Just bang two
Bridge of
coconuts.
Death.
Oh, great.
We first of all chosen an impossible location. It's about a half a mile up Glen Cove, so everything had to be humped by Sherpas up the mountain. We got up there, the very first shot of the film, the big moment, the camera turns and it jams.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
So we didn't have a sound camera, and all our great laid plans were suddenly up in the air.
What is your name?
My name is Sir Lancelot of
I
Camelot.
love this scene.
What is your quest?
To seek the Holy Grail.
It was an incredible location, no camera, and no experience. That's the worst thing.
What
Oh, sorry.
is your favorite color?
Blue.
No, yellow.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
The Pythons only had one sound camera on set because they could only afford one. They shot what they could for the Bridge of Death sequence on mute and picked the rest up later. All the while, Graham Chapman, who played Arthur, W.G. Grace rest his soul, couldn't even cross the bridge without a double due to symptoms of severe undiagnosed alcohol withdrawal. And that was just day one.
Actually, I'm surprised that
Oh my god, and the peasant scene. So good. How'd you become king?
he was in such a good mood, actually, looking at the outtakes. There's a lot of laughter going on. I hadn't remembered the laughter. All I remembered was the agony of filming it.
And we had so little money, there were 4 umbrellas on the whole set. And this nasty chainmail, which was knitted string, would start getting damp. And by 9 o'clock, you were cold and wet. And then at 6 o'clock, when the first assistant said wrap, there was this rush, wasn't there, for the cars? You remember? Because there was only about enough hot water for 40% of the people at the hotel.
I order you to be quiet.
Who does he think he is?
I'm your king.
Well, I didn't vote for you.
You don't vote for kings.
For what little money the
Wait, that's another thing I didn't even think about with a low budget film is I'm sure with, you know, when you're starring in some like Marvel movie or some huge budget movie, you know, the creature comforts that you're going to have as a star or as an actor are going to be insane, I'm sure. And as was explained well by John Cleese and the sagging chainmail, it's going to be a lot tougher for the actor as well.
Pythons had to work with, though, that they could afford.
Don't vote for kings.
For what little money the Pythons had to work with, though, that they could afford to make a feature-length film at all was quite literally a rock and roll miracle.
I'm interested in the way this film has been backed financially, because you haven't got the usual sort of backers. You've got the Pink Floyd, and
A lot of rock money, yeah, because that's, I mean, I think that's a hardcore Python fans. You know, we've got Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, we've got a lot of record companies, Ireland, Chrysalis, Charisma, and Michael White, the theatre producer. And, you know, that's, I think they are the real hardcore Python freaks, you know.
And this isn't my nose, it's a false one.
It was basically a fan-supported movie.
Will? Well, we did do the nose.
But she's a witch.
Nose? And the hat. But she's a witch.
Then once the movie was financed, it was just the
Oh my god. There's nothing scarier to me than, all right, my biggest fear on the earth, okay? It's not a shark, a great white shark, although that's close. It's probably number 2. My biggest fear is a mob of humans. Because when a mob of humans gets worked up enough and they're all on the same page, it doesn't matter if it's logical or not, it's full steam ahead. And you're screwed. I know if I'm born in the 1300s, I'm getting burnt at the stake or something for just saying something stupid. So as funny as this is, it makes me think like the stupidest accusation could kill you in a horrible way. There's nothing scarier than the mob. Scarier than a shark.
But she's a witch.
And then...
Then once the movie...
I love how even the smart one, too, he was like, exactly. Just weighs it against the duck.
It was financed, it was just the not-so-simple matter of actually staying under budget and playing to the team's strengths in order to get away with stuff most films just never could.
I'm an enchanter. By what name are you known? There are some who call me... Tim?
For instance.
Holy crap. No, that's Billy Connolly. Oh, sorry. I get my first, I love, now I can't, I say I love him and I can't remember. Tim Curry? Tim Curry? And also, it was Billy Connolly. I was going to say maybe it was John Cleese. Muppets Treasure Island. I just said a bunch of words that made sense in my head, but probably made no coherent sentence. I remember the movie Muppet Treasure Island as a kid. That was my first interaction or seeing Tim Curry, who I love now, and Billy Connolly. I thought for a second it might have been Cleese. Continue. Sorry.
Oh, call me Tim.
For instance, after scene 5, we're introduced to the book of the film, which was really just a clever ploy to move the plot along without having to actually shoot anything more than some pages turning on Terry Gilliam's living room floor, his wife's hand, and a gorilla glove from a local joke shop. Similar deal with Gilliam's animations, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago.
And there was much rejoicing.
And something I also mentioned was the fact that the shooting script for Holy Grail was really, really tight. Sure, any number of things might have been added or altered, even right up until the last minute, but remarkably little ad-libbing actually occurred once the camera started rolling. This allowed the Terrys to shoot only what they needed, and very, very fast. 5 or 6 weeks for the whole thing, keeping costs down.
With a sacred quest. If he will give us food and shelter for the night, he may join us in our quest for the Holy Grail.
But what charmed me the most...
Something I really like about 1970s and 1960s, late 60s and then 70s film, just the look of the film. Do you know what I mean? This looks probably more high definition than what it would have been back in the day. But I was watching Mutiny on the Bounty, starring Marlon Brando, which is about a British ship that mutinies, obviously. And just something about just the texture and just the way the camera is, it just makes me feel comfortable.
Quest for the Holy Grail.
I don't know why.
But what charmed me the most was the way they shot.
Guards!
Long, wide, and uninterrupted.
Until I come and get him.
Not to leave the room, even if you come and get him.
No, until I come and get him.
Not a lot of inserts, not a lot of close-ups.
Message for you, sir.
Not so unlike a lot of TV at the time. Fast and economical. The world they were all coming from anyway.
It does seem, Monty Python does seem like just a bunch of really good comedy sketches.
Did you get that shot all right, Sound? Yes, fine. It wasn't a bit too wicked, was it? I mean, too cruel. No, it's great. No, super. Oh, well, I think it shows I'm human, don't you? Yeah, it's great. It's great. Well, Sharabang's here. Come on, everybody. Bye!
Because, see, if you're smart about it, you can shoot an entire wedding massacre scene like this.
Guys,
you can just use the same one shot.
I always have a habit. It can get pretty annoying because you want to just be immersed in the movie, but I have a hard time kind of. I often watch a movie. I don't say it, but I think it. That like I just imagine them acting, you know, and so I don't really need a giant budget to watch a nice. I would much prefer just funny, good producers, actors, and directors with a not-so-great script rather than mediocre, okay directors and actors and a giant budget, you know? Like, I'm already kind of removed. I don't mind everything not looking flawless.
Over.
You know? Like, I think Lord of the Rings is the perfect mixture of that, of like the Urukai. Like clearly these were guys. This is not CGI. These are guys in prosthetics. You could tell it, but you could also like I know I'm in a movie theater. You don't have to trick me. Or does that make sense? Or am I?
Or you can just use the same one shot over and over. And over. And over. And over. And get a joke out of it.
Hey. There are two types of people. The people who like work super hard, maybe there's and like do it by the book and do it really well, and then they're surprised when it's not this hit, and then they look at just a few genuinely funny people who get it with a few little props, and they're way more successful, you know? I'm talking a lot, but screw it.
And get a joke out of it.
Hey.
It probably didn't hurt their budget either that the Pythons inherently saved a bundle on actors, with the 6 of them playing and double playing the vast majority of roles. The troupe says most of the casting was determined by who'd written what. If a scene centered around a particular night and a particular Python wrote that scene, he'd play that night.
It's gotten weird. There were a couple days where we actually couldn't keep track of who was who. Because you couldn't do one shot because John had to be somebody else, so we couldn't do that shot. So we didn't have to do that shot, which meant moving the camera over there.
5, Rita, 3, 3.
Which meant changing that there. We got it done then.
Is there someone else up there we could talk to? No, now go away.
Why is it that the guy that's not really in the film that I can see much looks the most like a medieval kind of peasantry guy?
We got it done then.
Is there someone else up there we could talk to? No, now go away or I shall taunt you a second time.
As for everybody else, you have a couple of actresses. The witch, played by John Cleese's wife at the time.
I'm not a witch.
That's Polly?
I'm not a witch.
The nuns of
That's Polly from Faulty Towers? And I never noticed?
As for
I'm not a witch. I'm not a witch.
the nuns of Castle Anthrax,
They have a basic medical training, yes.
but largely it was just locals or crew. The detective here was the film's production designer. One of the constables, the visual effects photographer. The film's composer was an extra.
Either create the lump in the throat, or make the back hairs stick out.
And all the rest were either tourists visiting Doune Castle, in the case of the wedding scene, or students from the University of Stirling in Scotland, about 175 of them in the case of Arthur's army at the end. A lot,
French person!
but not nearly enough.
Today the blood of many a valiant knight shall be avenged.
The fact is, there were only about 200 extras, and we were set up with this enormous battle scene, which we couldn't film because we didn't have enough actors.
Till each one of you lies dead.
My daughter actually said, "Was that the ending?" And I said, "Yeah, I wrote it." She said, "That was shit."
That reminds me of a South Park episode where they're building up the whole episode to this giant cinematic like fight between heaven and hell, and then they're like, it would have been way too much of a deal, hassle to draw it all out, so they just describe it and you're looking at the person on the wall. I'm not doing it right. It was funny. All right. Sorry, I'm laughing to myself now. Just you build up the whole episode to see it, and it's just like, my God, look at it. If only you could see this right now.
I'm not going to go too deep into
I'm sorry.
all that for the. I'm not going to go too deep into all that for the sake of spoilers, but let's just say it was all a very inventive solution to what was ultimately a budgetary issue. And again, the kind of solution that only works because of the nature of the film, and one you might only consider because of the nature of the budget. But all that.
This is a film where they could accidentally leave a film person in one of the scenes, and it would just fit. That would just be funny.
It's also Grail's biggest secret and boon. Being silly, being unexpected.
Quite.
Getting from A to B by whatever means necessary. As Terry Gilliam has said, if you maintain a low standard of production from the start, you can get away with anything.
451, take 2.
Nunchuck pass.
It's what allows you to solve quote-unquote problems in the plot, like this.
When suddenly, the animator suffered a fatal heart attack. The cartoon peril was no more. The quest for the Holy Grail could continue.
And besides, hey, endings...
Cut it. Cut.
Endings are hard.
I know sometimes life can be tough.
Endings are tough. No, they're easy. Love y'all. Hope you're all doing well. The end. The bridge of death scene is it made me laugh very hard. If I were to describe it, well, you know what? Why? It's just they're all afraid, and then the first guy goes, who's they think is going to get destroyed, and it's super easy. And then the next guy goes, and he gets the "What's your favorite color?" question wrong, and he gets launched. Yes, yes, blue. No, yellow. Okay. Very small rocks. Love y'all. Hope you're all doing well. Would appreciate any comments down below. I know I paused a lot. I'm not sorry. Sorry. I hope you're all doing well. I really do. I care about that, okay? Chin up. If you're not, you'll be good soon. Don't worry. Emotions are fickle. They change a lot. Which means if you're happy, you could be sad soon, so don't think about that. Love you. See you guys next time. Bye.